branding Pakistan. What comes to your head when I say branding Pakistan?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. For me, Pakistan is country of opportunities. It's country of potentials. And Shehzad, honestly speaking, I visited approximately more than 50 countries.
Wow, lucky you.
And Pakistan is one of the most lucky country where we got luckily everything.
Yes.
Unfortunately, there are a few lapses for which unfortunately our branding is not proper around the globe. And if I particularly talk about my specialization, which is alternative and renewable energy sector, you see currently we are facing deficiency in our country. Shehzad, interestingly, we got 2.9 million megawatt of solar energy potential.
Right.
Pakistan is the most lucky country in the world where we got 320 plus sunny days. All Europe and most of the entire global countries, they are dreaming for such a beautiful climate which we got luckily in Pakistan. Similarly, if we talk about wind energy resources, we got 46,000 megawatt potential.
Okay.
Shehzad, we have to
We live
explore
in a blessed country.
We have to explore
We've got 4 seasons.
This is
we've got
most,
every fruit.
yes.
Very
Yes.
nice. I mean, for somebody who's going to go up north, they're going to see that we can attract tourists very easily. We've got greenery, we've got dry patches, we've got deserts, we've got 4 seasons, we've got every fruit available over here. I mean, just imagine the type of country you're living in. You're blessed. I'm moving on, and then people will accept you, obviously. But now, what I want to pick up on is, and everybody can be a part of it. What are those common mistakes which we as people or as humans make in representing our country? Let's start from you.
Shehzad, one thing I must like to, we are ignoring our very rich human resource.
Okay.
Pakistan is the lucky country where we got very good human resource, and this is the potential we must rely on. As far as my experience is concerned and regarding the mistakes which we are commonly doing, I just quote you a couple of examples where we brought international investors in Pakistan on specific renewable and alternative energy options available in Pakistan. As I told you, it's a huge potential. If we are talking about solar energy, if we are talking about wind energy, obviously Pakistan is the most richest country in the world. What are the mistakes? Unfortunately, at institutional levels, unfortunately, Pakistan is not a well-trained or ready country for all these kind of international interventions in Pakistan.
Okay.
I am happy that this current regime, PMLN, I really appreciate it, because previously we saw once the investors were there, it is very hard to, in previous security conditions to bring international investors to come and invest in a country like Pakistan where there are a couple of security risks. Yeah. But we brought them. There were few lackings or there was few deficiencies at institutional levels. But what I am saying, present regime, PMLN government, whichever government is, being a activist on renewable energy and being very loyal and true Pakistani, directions are good. We are on positive direction. If we are internationally, we view Pakistan, there are true things. Pakistan is unfortunately a country of disasters. Always, you see, we got earthquakes. Every year we have floods.
Yes.
Then there are a lot of opportunities in Pakistan in development sector, then on alternative and renewable energy sector if we collectively. So directions are positive, mistakes are gone.
Okay.
Shehzad, there are no mistakes. Directions are positive.
You've learned.
Yes.
You've grown.
Directions are positive, and I'm expecting, inshallah, by end of this, present government by 2018, I hope, inshallah, our coming generations, they have to see a very positive and new Pakistan.
Inshallah,
this
and it brings a smile on my face as well, to be very honest.
Yes.
But moving on, role of media then.
First, let me just talk about some of the biggest mistakes that we have made. I think the largest, single most important thing is the lack of planning. Because if let's for example take alternative energies, there's no doubt that there's a tremendous potential here. But now even the Minister for Water and Power has accepted that we are not in a position to receive more than 15,000 megawatts of power because the condition of our grid, the national transmission grid, is such that, it breaks down if you put in too much power.
Yeah.
So it is very clear to me that there are many instances where time and money is wasted in doing these grand projects and realizing that we are stuck because we don't have gas or we don't have the right infrastructure in place. That is one very important thing. The other mistake over time that we've made is that we have not been able to strengthen our most important institutions. I'm very optimistic now, for instance, with the free media. I'm very optimistic about the strength that lately the judiciary has had. The way that the judiciary has been able to stop certain projects which were clearly involving corruption or incompetence.
Yes.
People who are politically appointed in the wrong places, although I myself was a political appointee.
And you accept that?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. But you know, the major hurdle, in my opinion, is proper planning. Now, when we talk about the sort of resources that we possess, of course, we possess perhaps the 5th largest gold and copper reserves in the country, in the world, or perhaps the 5th largest reserve of lignite, of coal in Thar.
Exactly.
And tremendous hydel potential and whatnot. But unless and until you have the expertise, the technical expertise to exploit these things, you will either be dependent upon foreign countries and their technology, where you will pay an arm and a leg, and in most cases you cannot even properly oversee what exactly is happening over there. So the fact that we have a working age population,
Yes.
which is a huge asset. You know, all over the world, especially in the Western world, the developed world, populations are dwindling and they are aging.
Yes.
I was in Norway and I asked these people that, you know, you guys are just barely 5 million people. You have so much wealth in terms of North Sea oil and the shipping and the salmon and whatnot. How come you're so heavily taxed? And you know what this guy said to me? He said, you know, our population in the next 3 decades is going to be a majority of geriatrics because we are not producing any more children and we are living longer and getting old. We are planning for that day when we will all be so old that we will need caregivers, caretakers. And where will those people come from? Perhaps the Philippines or Pakistan or India? Yeah. And how much will that cost? In billions. So we have this oil fund where we put all our money in there and we are going to save for that time. That is long-term planning, okay? But our workforce, when you look at that kind of situation, even Russia has a dwindling population. Yes. We have a growing population, we have a youth bulge, we have a working age population. Now the challenge is to be able to train them in the right fields.
Exactly.
When you and I talk about globalization, you know, sometimes we feel that we are being pushed into globalization, into opening up our borders, lowering our tariffs and things like that. But the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, when you protect industry, it becomes inefficient.
Yeah.
So when we talk about globalization, the first thing in planning that I would look at is that, you know, what are our intrinsic advantages on a global scale? For example, I can make textiles, okay? I have huge infrastructure, I have a huge capital investment in textiles. I'm not talking about myself personally, I'm talking about our nation.
Yeah.
And we have a huge workforce which is trained over decades in the textile field. We grow some of the best cotton in the world. Therefore, on a global level, we are intrinsically at an advantage. That is the sector I would focus on. What is lacking over there? How can we continue to be competitive? And how can we train the future workforce in this?
And that's what we'll pick up on. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, we need to go for a short break. So we'll go for a short break. And when we come back, we'll start the conversation with the mayor that how you've been recognized as a Pakistani artist across the border. And for example, for instance, if you want to change something, what will it be? Don't go anywhere. We're going for a short break. Good morning. Today we're branding Pakistan. Pakistan Zindabad.
Pakistan, the world's best kept secret.
They have no wings, but they fly. They have no fangs, but they bite. They have no eyes, but they witness. Rumors, the war on minds. PTV World, shunning rumors.
Alright guys, welcome back, and for everybody who just tuned into PT World, you're watching World This Morning alongside Shahzad Khan, and today we are speaking about branding Pakistan. What are the most common mistakes we make whenever we speak about our motherland? Are we supposed to do that? Are we supposed to keep up with all those immoral practices which we have been practicing so far? That's what we are discussing. And as well, I am not allowed to say that I am the ambassador of Pakistan, but then at some point I feel that I am. Every other youngster who's out there is the ambassador of Pakistan. And then it has to be our destiny where we need to achieve a better image and a better motherland for all those people who are going to come, who are going to live in this country. I think we need to make it a better place. We need to make it a better place for all those living beings who live within this particular geographical location. But earlier we were in conversation with all our experts, and now I'm moving on to Umair. And Umair, so how have you been recognized as an artist alongside Pakistan and then across the borders?
Well, obviously, with the help of my work, I was putting many videos of mine on internet, and I was getting so many feedback. Even there was a guy in China. He used to copy my things. Right. He used to ask me, please send me this track. I want to re-choreograph it, and he got same costumes like me, and then he had a performance there. Then he sent me the video, and it was ditto copy.
All right.
And I was so like, okay.
So it made you feel happy, obviously, that you have been recognized across the borders as well. So this is the power of media. Okay, this is the power of broadcasting your own self. Whenever we speak about social media or all those other platforms which are available, just imagine. All you have to do is make a video or write a few words, and they can go viral. It just depends on what you're hitting on. But unfortunately, for all those reasonable people who own these media channels, what they've done is that they actually know how to sell their words. Either way, it has to be a controversy. Obviously, we have to believe in it as well, that that's how they play it. But media these days is a game changer. May it be elections, may it be anything else in this country or any other country globally. But then for how long can we actually go on with these immoral practices? That's my very humble question from all of these honorable people on my show. So Kaisarani Saab, let's start with you. How to get rid of these immoral practices and how to achieve it?
I give you, Shahzad, one example.
Sure.
I was telling you in my previous discussion that we must to focus on our institutional or organizational capabilities. I give you one example. If you are talking about the brands or the being ambassador, Pakistan Army luckily is the institution in Pakistan, yes, which is representing your country accordingly throughout the world.
Exactly.
I give you example. If we talk about the Bosnian mission, Pakistan Army, and even I appreciate Pakistan Police, they were ranking first in the world. Then if we talk about the Kosovo mission, if we talk all the peacekeeping missions, if you go for the world ranking, all time Pakistan Army and police combinedly or jointly, they are first or second number.
Yes.
If you compare our neighboring countries, they are not even first 40s.
Exactly.
I'm not going to take the name, but they are not even in first 40s.
But Kesarani Saab, if I make a little amendment, for example, whenever you say Pakistan Army, can't we just say Pakistan Armed Forces? I think it feels better.
It's, you know,
it's a joint
collectively.
venture.
Point to raise is, because the institution is there, organizational capabilities are there, they are properly trained, so they are representing Pakistan in proper manner.
And then they have rendered sacrifices for our motherland,
etc. First, you know, if our media, you are a media personnel, we are live on media. You know, there are a lot of positive things as well. We appreciate all them. But unfortunately, once we are, you know, I was even sitting in Berlin, and there was a bad incident where the Christians, they got some suicide attacks in Lahore. And believe me, the Federal Foreign Office of Germany officials, they were asking, what's going on? Is there kind of war in your country? This is, you know, where media responsibility should come.
Exactly.
You know, we are being brand ambassador. Media have the liabilities. They must focus softer, positive. We have a lot of positive thing in our country.
Yes.
Again, there should be some, you know, kind of, you know, there should be some thing which should, you know, we have to meet and we have to address Pakistan as a positive country.
And to change the image, yeah.
Not negative impact like the incident of, you know, talking about Lahore incident or
but
otherwise.
Right now, I think, as Rani said, you're talking about international media. Now, let's just come back a bit, step back a bit and talk about our local media, okay? Now, local media houses, what they do is, for example, if there's some uncertainty in any area, the way they project it makes it look like that, you know, there's something terribly wrong, which is not true most of the time. And then all our anchors and then all of those analysts, I don't know what I think they're in love with money, probably, or fame, and that's why they actually do that, or probably they have their own intentions of doing something. And then, you know, what I've witnessed is that all of these anchors and all of these analysts, they try to be, or they tend to be policy makers.
Yes,
you know, most of the time, that's what they think, that, you know, that they are running the country.
We should be out of this ranking game. We should
Yes.
be out of this ranking game. There should be a proper code of conduct for, you know, what to present and what not to present.
And I think PEMRA is taking notice of this as well.
Should
Yes.
must take, you know.
All right. Moving on to Amina Saiba over here. Amina Saiba, what loopholes do you see within the practices of media?
I believe that media plays a very important role in building up any kind of opinion, especially now social media also plays a very important role side by side with the electronic media and print media. And but sometimes they build up and ignite the feelings of the public and the masses, and sometimes it plays a very negative role. And I believe that media and the people related to this field should take their responsibility, because this is a very respectable field, and I believe that if they are not playing their role properly, and this is institution, there should be some kind of check and balance on the behalf of the government, and also these institutions should take their responsibility properly.
But they're not taking their responsibility. That's what the problem is.
Because its role is very important, and it's create a very negative image on the youth.
Yes.
So I am very much concerned about the youth, because media is can play a negative role on the youth as well.
Because, you know, half of the time I have to tell my peers or my fellows or my peeps or, you know, all those happy bees I have around me, that half of the things you listen, they're not true. I mean, because I think where we lack is our own research. We do not do our own research. We do not open books. We do not go to libraries. We do not log on to other websites or read articles on it and then, you know, form our own expression that this is what is happening. So Nisar Sahab, if you're supposed to pick up on this, how do you think that, you know, we can mend things?
Well, for a start, let me give you a few positives. You know, as I was mentioning earlier, the majority of our population is the youth.
Yes.
And fortunately, if you look at the statistics, the majority of them are not very fond of watching television, and especially talk shows and the so-called opinion makers.
Yes.
By the way, anywhere in the world you go, anchors are opinion makers, and there's no reason why they shouldn't be.
No, but they should be opinion makers. They shouldn't think that as if they are policy makers.
I know, but what I'm trying to say is, as far as them being opinion makers, that's a fact.
Yeah.
Now, with that power surely comes responsibility.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, most of our channels are commercial channels. Now they have to have rankings, they have to have viewership so that they can sell advertisements, and that's how they make their money. Now the fact of the matter is that we as a population, if we are switching on more to negative news, that's where negative news is going to be more and more thrown at us.
But that's something which they have been feeding us, right? So we have an appetite for that now.
We do, but by nature, we seem to want these things. We seem to thrive in looking at misery. That is something. I'm not saying all of us. People like me would like to see far more positive things. But at the same time, the reality is, if I'm a channel and I'm continuously giving negative news and nobody's watching, I'll stop giving negative news. You get my point? So except for the government controlled media, which does have many positive programs such as yours is right now, the others are going to be molded by public opinion. But as I said, the good news is, although ratings may run into hundreds of thousands, the future belongs to the youth. And the youth are not so concerned with all this rubbish that's going on.
They're only concerned with what type of job they will get.
They are more concerned with the social media. When you come to a solution, the first solution is that you empower the youth to be able to put out their message on a larger scale. So if we have, let's say, the Facebook or Twitter or whatever else as the medium that they are on, right? Maybe we should train them in cinematography, in editing, in producing, and giving them their own channels. I can tell you organizations that actually help the youth to develop these skills, to have their own channels, to have their own, Ya TV, go and see.
And then there are young people who are actually doing this as well.
Youth in Asia Television has got several channels, even in South Asia and all. We need to promote these people to make them come forward, because that is the future. We can be embroiled in our little disputes, but that is the future. So
and that's what we need to primarily
focus on. That's what we need to
well.
focus on. The other thing, regulation, let's say PEMRA, for instance. Again, you have to make sure that you don't put somebody as the head of PEMRA because he's a political appointee, because he'll do things according to what you want. It has to be an autonomous institution where somebody of repute, standing and integrity is heading. They have a proper code and they follow that across the board. Secondly, you must have a self-regulatory body also within the industry.
That's my point.
That is very important. Wherever this has been successful.
This question to us. You know, I am expecting the answer from your side. Where is your code of conduct? Once I was, sitting with Chairman PEMRA, he is saying, because I agree with Nisar Saab, you must have your Nasser Saab, you must have your own regulatory authority, where you are, you are controlled by whom. Why
but then to be very honest, Kesrani Saab, I'm going to share my own expression over here, and it's because of the fact that earlier when I actually started my career, I started from a very private and very famous channel, and then after working 5 years or more over there, I actually thought that, as the youth of Pakistan, I need to bring change, I need to give back to the society, and that was the time when I decided that I'm going to serve PTV, and PTV is going to bring in new faces, new youngsters, and that's what you see now. Now finally we have got an English channel where we can speak about all of these issues, and let me assure you that there's not even 0.1% of interference by the government or by anybody who's sitting probably maybe on
You are talking about Chairman PEMRA, he is helpless, I am frankly telling you. You cannot do anything. If you don't have any on your personal consortium, he cannot do.
Well, that's something which I haven't faced by now, and I haven't been in a conversation with him about that, so I cannot actually tell you that, how things are over there. But at my end, there's nobody to tell me that, this is something you are supposed to say, and this is something which you are not supposed to say. I've had shows about PTA over here on PT World. I've had shows about PMLN as well. But then you have to come up with a fair argument, right? You cannot be biased about these arguments. If somebody, for example, if you were doing something about renewable energy, I think that should be recommended by all of us then, that that this is something which is a way forward as well. So this is the same case in women empowerment. Now, whenever we speak about women empowerment in Pakistan, the only thing which I am against is that, why do women actually have to say that they need men to empower women? You can do it yourself. If you still need men, don't think that you'll be empowered.
I just want to add why women say that we need men, because women are still dependent on men.
No, you're
so,
not.
No,
that's,
why?
That's what I,
because
that's what
they are daughters, they are wives, they are mothers.
Yes,
so,
so
why they ask men to be side by side with women to empower them?
Have you been to Europe or somewhere in UK? Do you think that they ask their husbands or fathers?
Never.
No, it's just a culture. It's just a culture.
But
I'm
we have
just
to
saying.
break the leg now. Now what we need to do is that you guys don't need to ask anyone that, you know, this is what we are going to do. You guys need to make your own decisions.
Because of the reason, because of our culture, we are living in joint families. It's not like
Okay,
we
so
are
for-
living
okay, so for
independent.
all
That's
those-
the reason.
Okay, now I'll give you the
Yeah.
gist of it. Now for all those women who want to be empowered, they just have to secure themselves financially. That's it. Make your own decisions then. And you know, you will be empowered, you'll feel empowered. But if you're going to stay home, cook all day long, and then say that I need empowerment, that's not happening. So there's always a way out. Now moving on to Nasir Saab over here. Nasir Saab, earlier you said that, you know, a lot of workforce, they go out, there's brain drain, and then we need to train people. Let's pick up on that. How do you think that we need to train people, or how do you see a way forward in these terms?
First of all, as I had mentioned earlier, that, you know, all the intrinsic advantages we have to look at that
Yes.
and try and train a workforce to strengthen that area, to become more competitive in that area.
Yeah.
Okay, if we turn out thousands of bachelors in statistics or something, they will be out of a job. So, you know, we have to focus more on vocational training, technical expertise for the industries that we have an advantage in. That's one thing. The other thing is, whenever you have a workforce which is not properly organized, I want to give you an example.
Sure.
We cannot live in isolation, although we are a very large market, and within ourselves we can conduct a great deal of business. But at the end of the day, as a country, we cannot live in isolation. So we have to have our radars on, and we have to see what opportunities exist outside Pakistan. I don't know whether you remember Dr. Mehboob ul Haq used to be Minister of Planning and Development, and he was also working with, I think, the World Bank or IMF for many years before he joined, and became an expert on human resource development. And he's written a very important paper which basically is telling the story of how labor, industry and all are constantly moving around the globe.
Yeah.
For example, right after the Second World War, Japan, which was economically devastated,
Yeah.
was assisted, of course, by some countries like the United States, the Marshall Plan, whatever. But through sheer hard work with very limited natural resources, their largest, best resource was the human resource, developed into the second largest economy in the world. Okay. However, once they developed this industry, it went global. Then very soon standards of living went up so high that their labor became too expensive, was no longer competitive.
Yes.
So what did they do? They moved some of those industries to Taiwan,
Yes.
to
Yeah.
other South Korea,
Yes.
nations around. Eventually, to make a long story short, these countries grew, their labor forces became too
And then they
expensive, moved to Thailand and Indonesia and Malaysia, and now it's China. But do you know something? China's labor is already more expensive than Pakistan's labor. So Mehboob ul Haq was saying that eventually this circle will come towards Pakistan. And our challenge is to see which are the industries that will come to Pakistan.
Very nice.
Clearly it will be labor intensive industries. But are we going to be ready? Are we going to be ready by the workforce that is trained for those industries?
So are we ready?
No, we are
we're
not.
not. Okay.
Unfortunately, we are not. But it's not a bleak picture throughout.
Yeah.
I mean, the literacy level in Pakistan is now 57%. And it's a big jump from within even the last decade, okay?
Yes.
Another very interesting factoid is that, you know, Pakistan, if you go to Wikipedia and see the largest English-speaking countries in the world, Pakistan is at number 3. Would you believe that?
With a Pakistani accent.
With a Pakistani accent.
as well.
But
Yeah.
English now being the language of the internet and the language of business, this is a huge advantage.
It is.
When you talk about the potential in outsourcing things,
You make me happy, Nasir Saab, right now.
I
You make me happy,
I
honestly.
want people to be happy. I want people to realize that there's a lot beyond
Exactly.
the security challenges or the energy crisis and all. Despite all this, we are one of the highest growing rates in the region.
Very nice. Very well said. And Umair, moving on to you. Anything you want to say, anything you want to share as an artist with all our amazing viewers who are out there, go ahead, say it.
Well, I have a message for media that we should own our things. On TV channels, we should show our dances, our culture, our stories.
Yeah.
There are many folk stories of Pakistan, of different provinces. So we should show those things. So our coming
So that we
generation.
promote our culture as well, and our coming generations
Yes.
know about who we are, what our roots are. Very nice. Very good message. Kesrani Saab, what about you?
Shahzad, everything positive. When we talk about the resources, Alhamdulillah, thanks God, we have sufficient, human resource with full of youth. Then we got very good technical resource in our country. If we are talking about monetary resource, obviously Pakistan is a rich country by monetary means. I am looking everything positive. I agree with the point that, with the philosophy that if, we got some proper moral building and institutional development segments in our, future plannings, obviously things are getting positive.
And things are getting better.
Yes, inshallah, and Pakistan is a, country full of opportunities. Whenever I am outside the country, I am talking to my international friends, come, see inside Pakistan, there is nothing like, if
And
there
then form
was,
your own judgment.
everything is positive here, just come and see by your own eyes. We are ready to welcome all internationals in Pakistan in all sectors.
Lovely. Miss Amna.
I believe that we always talk about population control, but we should talk about population management. We have a human resource, we should work on human resource development, and our youth is our asset, and we should promote more youth exchange program, cultural exchange program at the global level. And these youth are our ambassadors. When they go there to different countries, they are our brand ambassadors. They will promote our culture, and I believe that this media can also promote our culture to different countries. And I believe that Pakistan is great, and people should visit Pakistan. And I believe many overseas Pakistani watch PTV World.
Yeah.
And at the moment they must be
They're in
watching
love
that.
with me, honestly.
So I believe that media can play a very positive role in branding Pakistan.
Very nice. Very well said. Nasir Saab.
Well, let me take this opportunity to point out particular sectors that have tremendous potential.
Sure.
Because I've done a little bit of work on this.
But very quickly.
And yeah, just for the potential investor, somebody who's looking at Pakistan, energy is one sector which has a tremendous potential. We have excellent policies which give you tax-free as well as duty-free and opportunities to repatriate your profits. Agriculture is a huge sector which is doing extremely well and yet needs a lot of input in terms of research and development of seeds, rural microfinance, and a cool chain. A lot of our products are wasted. Infrastructure, where you can have partnerships in building roads on a BOT basis, and then health and education has tremendous
And
opportunity.
then information technology as well.
Of course,
Correct.
of course.
So pretty much every field.
Yes,
Thank you
but-
very much, guys, for
Thank
coming
you.
over. Thank you very much for making me feel proud of my motherland. And that's what I was actually trying to do. Now, most of the time, a very common mistake, one of, a few of my friends, who surround me, they make is that whenever they'll talk about their motherland, they might call it a third world country. But let me assure you that third world countries do not possess nuclear warheads. So we need to focus on saying that we are a developing nation and a developing country. We're not a third world country. Hello to the world. We're coming and the pace is right, the direction is right, and we've got the positivity. We are here to live with peace and with beauty and with all of what nature has actually gifted to us. So Pakistan Zindabad. Don't forget to write to us on our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of World This Morning. On Twitter, it's World This Morning. On Daily Motion, it's World This Morning. Catch the rerun at 5:12. Look after yourselves. So can we say it together? 1, 2, 3, Pakistan Zindabad.